Dragon Ball Evolution can best be described as... yeah, the movie is pretty bad. So it's not much of a stretch to assume that the game based on it would be just as bad, but it's not that simple. This game was developed by DIMS, the same creators of the Budokai series, and more importantly they are the creators of the Shin Budokai series too, which had seen its second entry 2 years prior to this game's release. This game is essentially Shin Budokai 3. I'm being serious. I mean, look at this. I imagine this game carries a lot of stigma due to what it's based on. It's not as bad as you'd assume, but that doesn't mean that it's good. This video is brought to you by our channel members. Thank you to Jason, Michael and Caspri. If you find value in the many hours of this channel's content, then become a channel member today, or consider giving a small tip through the Super Thanks feature. Thank you for your support. Now on to the video. Dragon Ball Evolution, the game, is based on the movie that is based on the anime that is based on the manga. It was released on the PlayStation Portable on the 8th of April 2009, 2 days before the movie came out. So if you are very eager to experience the story of Dragon Ball Evolution, gamers could do so early. Those poor bastards. What can I say? This game looks like shit. The PSP just isn't powerful enough to pull off a realistic art style. Gone are the stylish cel shaded models of the Budokai games, and instead we have a bunch of generic and bland looking characters with muddy textures. Since they are restricted to emulating the way the characters looked in the movie, there is just no artistic flair to any of them. The flat lighting also doesn't help. The aura and key effects are very muted, and most don't stand out all that much. But when they do use flashier moves like the Kamehameha, they look out of place, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation. They either look underwhelming or clash with the art style. Even the character portraits look like shit. They're just photos of the actors with what looks like a shitty Photoshop filter applied to them. It's so low effort. None of the characters show any emotions, so it can be hard to tell how the dialogue is meant to be coming across. The game uses the same storytelling style as in the Shin Budokai games, with there being characters talking to each other through text boxes, but sometimes events happen and it's explained really badly through the text box, and the characters start saying all these things like, "Watch out for the lava," and you're like, what lava? What the fuck is going on? They really need more visuals to help with these cutscenes, because the writing just isn't good enough to convey to the player exactly what is happening. The portraits slide around the screen trying to convey action, but it looks really stupid, kinda like a kid smashing their action figures together. Okay, not like that.
Piccadilly whore!
Yeah, like that. There are a few fully animated cutscenes in the story mode. While the animation is bad, the sound design is even worse. Okay. There are often sound effects missing from the scenes, and it just makes them awkward as fuck. There is never any voices in the cutscenes either, which is weird considering they never seem to shut up during gameplay. At least for this game, they do have some different music, and it's not just the Budokai 3 soundtrack again. I have to say that the stages actually look pretty decent. There aren't very many of them, but the ones that they do have look quite nice. I especially like the one that takes place inside Goku's mind. It makes sense in the movie. Well, nothing in the movie makes sense, so I don't know, nothing makes sense. And the tournament stage you fight on during the credits is pretty cool. Oh yeah, you actually get to fight during the credits. It's a really nice feature, and I wouldn't mind seeing it in other games. The gameplay is Shin Budokai 2's gameplay. but stripped down a bit. For instance, there are no transformations, no flying, and worst of all, no customization. You got a health bar, a guard bar, and a key gauge, although I don't like how they've put the key gauge at the bottom. Now you have to glance at both the bottom and the top of the screen to get all of the information. It's objectively worse. You still have the light and heavy attacks that can be followed up with by a rush attack. You'll find that a lot of the characters have less ranged attacks, so a lot of the time you'll be focused on getting up and close to your opponent. Thankfully, the aura burst system is still here. If your character has enough ki, they can use the aura burst ability to increase their attack power and movement speed. It takes half a ki bar to activate aura burst, and the rest of the bar is steadily depleted with each subsequent action. While in aura burst mode, all movement will result in an aura dash, so you can use it for quick escapes or to get behind the opponent. The aura rush is a charge that bypasses everything but ultimates. The aura slam attack cannot be blocked, and while it can be cancelled into, it is easily interrupted. When using aura guard, even ultimate attacks are completely negated, but throws, fully charged slam attacks, and aura slams can still break it. Still, it's annoying that the AI has such a bad habit of spamming this move. Aura Burst Charge is now called Full Burst, and it works just the same with each character getting their own unique buff. There are technically 11 characters in the game, but I would argue that there's really only 10. Because Neo Piccolo is just Piccolo but with a scarf. One thing this game has going for it is you can play as Bulma and Chi-Chi, which you very rarely get to do. But unfortunately, it's not the version of the character that people actually like. This is still Dragon Ball Evolution. Okay. You can also play as this. Bulma is quite a fun character. She uses a pair of pistols in place of key attacks. In fact, there are a few characters that utilise weapons, which is a nice change of pace. Bulma has this RNG attack where she throws a capsule at the opponent, and it can either be a teddy bear or a motorbike. It's a really creative way to incorporate the iconic capsule into combat. You can also fight as Ozaru, who is a lot smaller than I was expecting.
Not about size, it's about how you use it, baby. Yeah.
The controls are the same, a lot of the attacks have been reused, a lot of the animations have been reused. The gameplay is fantastic because it's basically Shin Budokai 2, but with a really sad reskin. The story mode of this game is a retelling of the Dragon Ball Evolution movie, and if you would like to hear my full thoughts on that, I have created a video about it, but to put it in the briefest way possible, it's terrible and I hate it, and shame on you, 20th Century Fox. The story mode is just a bunch of fights that take place in between the visual novel segments. Here's a reenactment of playing these story segments.
It's too fast! How could you even tell what's on? I can tell.
You mostly play as Goku, but there are a few fights where you get to control someone else. The story mode isn't very difficult, and your only goal is to defeat your opponent. Apart from in this one fight. During the fight between Master Roshi and Piccolo, you must defeat Piccolo using the Mafu Bar, which is Roshi's ultimate attack. It only does this one time in the entire story. They didn't even do this with the final fight between Goku and Piccolo, which is probably the most appropriate, as the Kamehameha, Goku's ultimate attack, is how Piccolo was defeated in the movie. This game's recreation of it somehow looks better. I just hate the way the Kamehameha looks in the film. It's so... you know what I mean? Besides the story mode, there are missions you can complete. These are pretty much what we were just discussing, where you have to fulfill a prerequisite to pass the mission. There are a total of 50, and each time you complete one, you'll be rewarded with Zeni. The Zeni can be used to unlock behind the scenes stuff from the movie. Yes, the movie, not the game, because that would be mildly interesting. And we can't have that! There's also a training, survival, and arcade mode, which are all pretty much just copy-pasted from Shin Budokai 1. One thing I'd like to point out though, that in arcade mode, Bulma is referred to as Bulma Enchanto. I have no idea why. In the movie, her last name is Briefs.
Bulma Briefs.
No clue on that one. If you were to isolate the gameplay, I mean just the fighting segments, Dragon Ball Evolution the game is actually pretty decent. But everything that surrounds the core gameplay is bloody awful. The graphics are ugly and the story sucks. There is no reason to play this game over Shin Budokai 2. You know what this game is? A really sad Shin Budokai 3. Oh, excuse me.